Chapter 20. Kit. The blades of grass look sharp beneath the streaming moonlight. Death sits beside me in the field beyond the gardens, and it's oddly comforting, her closeness. I know I shouldn't feel at ease beside the woman who will soon drag me to the moors, but it feels quiet in her presence, like my weary soul is sighing. The vile tonics Eli forces down my throat each day are doing precisely as much as Mara predicted they would. Nothing. My head pounds incessantly, and I find most everyone to be intolerable. In other words, the plague is slowly killing me from the inside out. But with death, I feel most alive. Every ache is dulled in her presence. In fact, I could almost forget about my imminent demise. Do you know why you are dying? Within a puddle of moonlight, Mara's stoic features look as though they are cut from marble. I sigh at the question and tell her what she likely wishes to hear. Because of my greed? Of course. But not entirely. She unfurls her legs atop the soft grass, displaying the fitted pants hugging them. The cloak that usually smothers her figure has mysteriously gone missing. Greedier men have lived long and prosperous lives. I look up at the inky sky. So why is it I'm dying, Mara? Because you and everyone else in this kingdom are ignorant to power, she states. My lips pull into a frown. I know my power. You know how to wield what you were given. Death leans on the pair of palms she places behind her back. It's a casual movement that equally does and doesn't suit her. But you do not know the power. I consider this. And you do? Quite personally. Is that why you died? I ask before thinking better of it. Power. She stares at me with the deep knowingness of someone who was forced to discover everything on their own. I'm not sure I like that look. Death may know me entirely, but I could not even wager a bet as to what she is thinking at any given moment. Then, slowly enough to quicken my heartbeat, she says, I am all that was, and all that will soon come to pass. But before that, I was in love. I swallow, relieved to be right about one thing. Mara was not always death. Is love not a power of its own? I murmur. For those lucky enough, her voice is even. It always is. But for most, it means certain death. I can't help but stare at her. Death's profile is somehow soft and striking beneath the starry sky. The most terrifying thing about her is the way in which she speaks, with poise and conviction. And every time she opens her mouth, I find myself agreeing with the words that fall from it. Love, too, has brought me to certain death. All of this, all that I am, is because I loved a man who didn't even understand the meaning of such a word. Now I am a monster. A king. A bit of both. Now I no longer trust love, my heart, not with anyone but my brother. Crickets chirp all around, filling the silence with their songs. The night air is crisp. She really should be wearing that cloak. If Death were just a girl and I were just a boy, I might have offered her my jacket. So, I clear my throat. You promised to tell me about the souls. It is pointless to ask Mara any more about her death, or rather, her speculated life. Anything she wanted to say, she would have told me already, and I have no interest in testing Death's patience. Yes. She seems deep in thought. Really, she always seems that way, and consequently it always feels as though I am disrupting her. I can shift my perspective to the spiritual plane. Seeing one's soul helps me better understand the type of person they are. I cross my ankles and mirror Mara's deceivingly relaxed position. The grass is damp beneath my palms. When you say you can see souls, that means what exactly? It's like a mass of energy, she supplies. Every human is unique. There are different colors and shapes, and even movements. I cough into a fist and try to ignore Death literally looking over my shoulder. So, I finally manage. What does mine look like? Blue, she answers softly. Muted, like a puddle reflecting a dimming sky. And the shape? An oval. I frown slightly. That doesn't seem very interesting. It's not, really, Mara states in that blatant manner. Then she shrugs stiffly, like a person who's forgotten how to execute the gesture. I've seen a lot of souls. I chuckle and she almost returns the sound with a slight smile. Good to know I'm average. Thank you. Death holds me in her gaze for a long moment. And there is little movement, she says finally. Your soul is fading. I draw a deep breath, but most importantly, I do not dwell. Right, well, what does my soul say about me? Typically, she starts evenly, the darker the color, the more troubled the person. Their past, their virtue, their mind. This isn't always the case, though. For you, Mara hesitates for the first time. It's strangely human of her. Your soul seeks companionship, and there is a sadness within you. There is no point in denial, so I let my silence speak for itself. I have always known of this darkness within me. It was felt for the first time at the age of 4, when discovering that it was I who killed my mother. And I might have unleashed that something within me if it weren't for the fact that Kai was deemed the calculated, cold brother, and I the caring and kind one. So I buried that kernel of sadness somewhere deep within me. And when Father died, uprooting that part of myself, it looked a bit madder than I remembered. Kit? My gaze snaps to Mara's. It's strange hearing Death utter your name. Sorry, I murmur. Just thinking. Stay with your thoughts. She dips her head. I'll be here when you're done. I almost refuse her offer for the sake of being polite. Then, a smile tempts my lips. No one, living or dead, has ever offered to wait outside my thoughts for me. So I shut my eyes and ponder beside her. After the passing of several peaceful minutes, I ask hesitantly, "Do you still need time with your thoughts?" "I am always with my thoughts," Mara returns. "But I can free myself of them for now." I look up at the smattering of stars. What does death think about, if you don't mind me asking? "Mostly the living." She lifts her gaze to rest it beside mine. "But tonight, I'm thinking about why you are marrying a woman you hate." "I don't hate Peyton," I say sharply. My head is beginning to pound once again. In fact, I had dinner with her this evening. I recall vaguely how distracted she seemed. And before everything, we were even close. Now she is my peace offering to the other kingdoms so they will open their borders for trade. Mara looks unimpressed. "And you will then infect the cities with this plague you know nothing about?" "I've already started," I say quickly. This manages to crack her stony facade. "Isram." I nod. The crate of roses Peyton left as a gift are sprinkled with a diluted dose of the plague. Once one person falls ill, "The rest will follow," Death states, mirroring what happened a century ago. Exactly. My words swell with surety, and the kingdoms will soon thank me for the power I have given them. Mara gives no indication of her thoughts on this matter. "That still doesn't explain your dislike for Peyton Gray." I shut my eyes against a wave of irritability. It's not her, necessarily. It's Kai. I only want Kai, but he wants her. My chest tightens painfully. It's difficult to breathe, but I spit out the words furiously. He can't love her more. This is all for us. I need him to choose me. Your Majesty. My head throbs in time to my racing heart. I whip around, finding an Imperial racing towards me. Still, Mara watches me with those sharp eyes, a wave of questions likely sitting on the tip of her tongue. Your Majesty, the Imperial pants as he nears our patch of grass. I straighten instinctively. My eyes flick to where Death sits beside me. It's strange, being the only one bearing witness to her presence. The young man skids to a stop in the dewy grass. There's a fire in the castle, Your Majesty.
Chapter 21. Mara. Death does not feel the sweltering heat she steps into. Flames ripple along the floorboards Mara frequently sat on, shrouding the window she so loved to look out. The room is cast in a destructive glow. Thick smoke hangs in the air. But this all seems rather tame when compared to the grappling figures surrounded by fire. The future queen has pinned a weakened Telly to the floor. An Imperial shouts behind a wall of hungry flames. It seems Blair Archer's death has gone awry. Mara encircles the tense scene sprawled atop a scorched floor. The two women remain within the ring of fire, skin burned and hair singed. Peyton's knees dig into the Telly's blistered forearms, forcing a scream from her lips. It seems the Ordinary, who is anything but with that look of cruel detachment, is shoving Blair's ashen face toward the wall of flame. Death has not anticipated such brutality from the bride-to-be. Perhaps she will not go through with such a vicious act. But Mara recognizes the look on her face, for revenge always remains the same, no matter the features it is displayed on. Even as smoke fills her lungs and consciousness begins to fade, Peyton knows only the vengeance burning within her. "Please," Blair whimpers. Peyton pushes her closer to the flame. "Please." The Imperial is shouting again. The fire swells higher. But Death only has eyes for the girl who has continually evaded her. "I told you," the future queen says hoarsely, blue eyes never straying from the terror filling the tellies. "I would make you beg." A splitting scream fills the hazy air when the side of Blair's face meets fire. Skin bubbles, and the sickening smell of it lingers. Peyton Gray does not so much as flinch. Mara thinks, in another lifetime, she would make a fine death. Then, with a ragged cough, the human collapses. Death stares at the bleak scene before her. She crouches, slowly, beside the gasping telly. Pain and adrenaline are all that keep her conscious. A crude line from her temple to chin is carved out in flayed flesh. The skin is blistered, oozing in a way that makes even Mara grimace. Yet again, she is unsure what to do with this soul that now teeters on her lifeline. Just as it had during that fight in the slums, a tangible connection forms between Blair and Death. It is fading now, seeing that the telly is no longer directly in harm's way, but Mara clings to that slippery tether between them. Once, she might have let fate have her way with this soul. But Death has recently been reminded what it is like to live, perhaps for the love of another. You see, Mara no longer wishes to stand idly by. She will do what was not done for her. "You need to get up," she says simply. Blair's bleary gaze widens when it lands on the face of Death, who uses every bit of the power she possesses, on this plane, to force a foothold here, in this moment, with this soul. Tears stream down the telly's face. She fails to form words. Lenny bursts through the wall of flames with a yelp, having finally found a dying pocket in the fiery hedge. "You need to get up, Blair." He wraps his arms around the unconscious Ordinary, hoisting her into the singed sleeves of his uniform. "Please." With one final plea, he staggers through the flames once more, carrying his future queen to safety. Death turns her attention back to the whimpering Blair. He's right. You can stay here and die in this castle. If not now, then after a long life of bitterness. Or you can stand up and live. The choice is yours, Blair Archer. But if I had the chance to choose my fate all over again, she says sternly, I would choose life, not death. The telly stares at Mara, equally terrified and determined. Then she squeezes her eyes shut and nods. The movement has her crying out in pain, but she pushes past it and into a sitting position. Tears seep into her charred skin, and still, she stands on shaking limbs. Lenny has returned, shoving through the fire once again. "You're okay," he shouts, wrapping an arm around Blair. She nearly collapses against him. "I've got you." Death's connection to the telly's soul flickers out, banishing her to solitude once again. But she watches, exactly as she has and likely always will. The pair lean on each other as they stumble across the sweltering room. Lenny shields his assignment as best he can, though not at the king's command, but of his own volition. Shouts ring in the distance. The king, whom Mara abandoned in the field to appear within the fiery room, has finally caught up with her. and he has brought a gaggle of guards with him. The Imperial yanks aside the fireplace's stone backing. "Get into the tunnel," he instructs, helping Blair onto the staircase below. "I will deal with this and meet you down there. Then we will figure this out." The Telly refuses to look at him. She turns her marred face away. The parade of pounding boots grows closer. Lenny extends a shaking hand toward her. His fingers brush the unblemished side of her chin, lifting it gently until Blair's watery eyes meet his. "I'm so sorry." His voice cracks. "This shouldn't have happened to you." A tear rolls down the Telly's blistered cheek. She is little more than an empty vessel, void of any and all emotion. Even death is not capable of such bleakness. A charred beam falls from the ceiling and splinters into sparks behind them. Lenny whips around, covering his face from the debris. And when he turns back to face the soul now tied to his own, she is gone. They are eerily quiet, this Telly and Imperial. Death believes this is the longest they have gone without a word to satiate the silence. The tunnels are quite cold and damp, even by Mara's standards. The flickering lantern Lenny has carried down the winding steps paints the rounded walls in dancing shadows. Blair sits stiffly beside Death, unbeknownst to her, of course, with a constant welling of tears in her eyes. Clearing his throat, the Imperial uncorks a glass vial. "I'm sorry I wasn't here sooner," he murmurs. "I had to deal with burying your fake body, then my uncomfortable conversation with the king and his fuming enforcer. But your night has been far worse, so I should probably stop talking." He sighs before dumping the dark contents of that vial onto a rumpled shirt. "I swiped a healing salve from the infirmary. They will definitely notice it's gone missing since they are pretty hard to come by, but that is a problem for another day." Blair says nothing. Hesitantly, Lenny lifts the cloth toward her. May I?" The Telly slowly pulls her face from the shadows in silent permission. A gentle stream of light skims the angry, red burns marring the side of Blair's face. It's strange, seeing the once soft skin draped in such misfortune, now blistered and swollen. Death knows pain, and this is it. Lenny swallows at the gruesome sight. "This salve should heal, but it will hurt." Again, Blair says nothing in response, but winces when the salve meets her seared skin. "I'm sorry." Free from the mask, the Imperial's face plainly displays his despair. "It wasn't meant to happen this way. I didn't think Payton would—" "Don't," Blair grinds out. A tear rolls down her cheek, mingling with the salve there. "Right." Lenny nods, saddened. "Yeah, I'm sure you don't want to talk about it." Mara sits comfortably within the heavy silence that follows. She watches, in awe though she wouldn't admit it, as the ointment seeps into the burned flesh to heal it from the inside out. The bubbled blisters begin to smooth. The raw skin starts to dull. It's not long before Death grows bitter at the miraculous sight. You see, a lifetime ago, healers didn't have the luxury of cheating with powerful potions. The Imperial clears his throat in warning of the words about to leave his lips. "Though it pains me to say it, you were right. Your mother was happy I buried you before anyone saw." He draws a deep breath. "And by you, I mean the several pillows I rolled into a blanket and carried from your burning room. The Imperials outside didn't argue when I said I had to take care of the body." When this earns no response, Lenny smiles weakly. "So, you're dead. Congrats." "No." Blair whispers. I'm ruined. Ruined? The Imperial practically laughs in her face. Blair, you look like a badass. I'm a little jealous. With the salve numbing her pain, the Telly freely expresses her annoyance. The only thing worth liking about me was my appearance, she snaps. Even with this ointment, I'm still marred for life. Lenny looks at her, really looks at her. Mara finds herself envious of such delicate regard. Once, she knew what it felt like to be on the receiving end of such beholding, but she has long forgotten. I brought you something else, the Imperial finally says. Reaching into one of the many pockets of his singed uniform, he pulls free a bundled napkin. Mara leans in to watch him unravel it and display a pair of glistening desserts. Lemon tarts, he presents proudly. To celebrate. And they probably aren't as good as yours, but at least mine were made with joy and shit. Yes, Death recalls that night in the kitchen quite fondly. Threats were thrown, along with several ingredients. But these desserts are not the product of that evening. Those lemon tarts were swiftly eaten, of course. Mara is a bit embarrassed that she hadn't known about the Imperial's sly baking excursion, though she has been rather distracted as of late, justifiably so. You baked these? Blair grinds out in disbelief. The Imperial beams. Pretty impressive, huh? Not in the slightest, the Telly retorts. The crust is so dry it's a choking hazard. And let me guess, you stirred the glaze with a ladle instead of a spoon. Do they not do the same thing? Lenny's eyes dart from her narrowed gaze before returning worriedly. Stir? It is like reliving that night in the kitchen, Mara concludes. She now finds it remarkable how easily they conceive these pointless disputes. But she can see, more astutely than most, that their constant bickering has become so much more. For it is a language of their very own, a union of souls. Whatever, Lenny concedes. That's besides the point. He lifts the napkin between them, crumbs showering his lap. I made these, and I like them. Not because of their appearance or the concerningly dry crust, which was definitely intentional, but because they are tart, just like you. I'm sour. Blair's correction is quick. You'll just spit me out like everyone else. You're an acquired taste. The Imperial's gaze grows beseeching in the flickering light. And so much more than a pretty face, which you still have. You are funny, even when it's at my expense, and smart in a hurtful, belittling sort of way. But above all, he pauses to take a breath. You are strong. And this is your chance to be whoever you want, so... Lenny turns the Telly's face toward him with the tips of his fingers. Be the girl with the badass scar. The words are genuine, and yet, Death notes how utterly terrified Lenny sounds when saying them. That strange intrigue he feels for this Telly has further nudged its way toward his heart. But Blair Archer, with her prickly nature, is hardly the best place to plant any sort of affection. For she will surely choke the life from him. And yet, something within them is drawn to the other, barbs and all. Their souls are laced, like that of friends, but perhaps more. Blair draws a sudden breath. Her brown eyes are wide, searching her ginger snaps. Death likes to think this is now an endearing nickname, with a fervor that seems to paralyze him. Jostled from her trance, the Telly snatches one of those crumbling tarts from the napkin. Right, well, in case you've forgotten, I don't care what you think. Lenny can't help but smile as Blair abruptly returns to her snide self. Of course you don't. Exactly. Great. Good. The Imperial frowns. I was planning on saying good next, so you kind of ruined our back and forth here. He is cut off by a dramatic vocalization of Blair's disdain. I'm so glad I'm dead, so I can be rid of you. Right. Lenny's smile fades. He had forgotten about the separation part of this plan, Mara thinks. And I haven't been thrown out of the castle yet, so that's something. It will only be a matter of time, Blair reassures. You're a horrible Imperial. Hey, you wanted me to let you be killed. His words spark the Telly's memory. I saw someone in that room. A woman. Death straightens. She is rarely mentioned so directly in conversation. The inclusion is quite nice. She finds herself smoothing the hair neither of them can see. Lenny lifts a brow. What? She told me to get up, Blair reminisces, her brow creased. I had never seen her before. She just appeared. Whatever. She rolls her eyes. I probably imagined it. Mara was hoping for a bit more detail about her cameo in the land of the living, but this would suffice. She leaves the souls there in that dark tunnel, conversing closely. Because there is not much more for her to witness, Death realizes. She started such spying in the hopes of disaster, and they have greatly disappointed. Mara was wrong. She is unused to the feeling, and the admittance of it. Then, Death believed every bond to be doomed. Lover, friend, foe. Now, a certain soul has begun to change her mind. Some, you see, are just meant to be.
Chapter 22. Kit. The smell of smoke still hangs in the hallway. I run a hand over my face, mindlessly wiping at the powder dusting my skin for the dozenth time today. Annoyance swells inside my chest, right beside the shooting pain that resides there. Healers insisted on concealing symptoms, though the dark circles beneath my eyes are not easily hid these days. Especially when my betrothed accidentally kills her nemesis, who happens to be the general's daughter. I've spent most of my night cleaning up Payton's mess, and surprisingly, the death of bitchy Blair saddened me more than I'd anticipated. That was probably insensitive. I'm not sure. My head hurts. I round the corner, drawing a deep breath. It was disheartening, the lack of grief Blair's mother displayed upon learning of her passing. At least General Archer had the decency to excuse himself, hiding his glassy gaze. But thankfully both seemed relieved by Lenny's quick decision to bury the burned body. The general, because he couldn't bear to see his daughter in such a state, and the expressionless mother, because she did not wish to mourn. For that reason alone, I've allowed the Imperial to remain as such. For now. I stop abruptly in the hall and clutch my chest when that incessant throbbing returns. A coughing fit has me doubling over as I brace a hand against the wall. Every part of me aches, so blindly that I can't imagine death making me feel any worse. You haven't slept. I've summoned her. I straighten, breathing heavily. Not since you left me in a field. No. She tilts her head at mine, like I'm some specimen to be studied. You have grown more irritable. The plague is taking its toll. Dying will have to wait. I cough into my fist and ignore the look of concern from a passing servant. It's easy to forget how my conversations with death look, like I've gone mad. I have to speak with my brother. I sigh and continue down the hall. Mara follows, who is likely with my betrothed. And it is very likely that only one of them will survive tomorrow. I try not to think about that, though. I am simply doing what needs to be done, what greatness demands. I am not a monster. Beyond each row of windows, the sun slinks shyly towards the horizon, leaving behind a night of long-winded condolences and vile tonics on my tongue. Each step grows heavier than the last. I'm being betrayed by my very body, and death is witnessing my demise. Are you going to tell him? Mara asks. I glance over at her. Tell Kai what? That you are dying. I look away, my heart now pounding harder than my head. He deserves to know, she adds evenly. Not yet, I say too quickly. I'm not ready. Mara says nothing more on our short journey. She doesn't need to. Her previous words are damning enough, and when I come to a stop before my beloved brother's door, I realize that I have never feared death. Only the imminent likelihood of losing my brother to life. Are you going inside? Mara's gaze is heavy. I look down to find my hand hovering over the doorknob. Hazily I nod and turn the handle. Kai stands before a battered bedpost, a sword in hand. It is comforting to know that some things never change. Oh, good, I say at the sight of him. You're awake. His room is familiar, but I step tentatively inside. When we were boys and a harsh storm rattled the windows, we would slide beneath the bed and eat whatever sweets we had swiped from the kitchen. Now those memories feel so delicate. Kai raises the blade in his hand. Just blowing off some steam. Death pads into the room where she examines the chipped bedpost further, then stares pointedly at the wardrobe behind the brothers. Right. My mind is drifting again. It has been doing that of late, mostly without warning. What if he hates me for this? What if I fail, and everything I've done is for nothing? What if he chooses her? Words begin falling from my numb lips. Well, I just wanted to stop in and let you know that the third trial will be taking place tomorrow. The look of surprise he dons is unsurprising. My head hurts. Tomorrow? He asks. You're not announcing it to the court? I swipe a palm across the back of my neck. Father used to do the same thing, but I don't want to be like him. Am I like him? It's meant to be unexpected, I manage. For Peyton, at least. It will take place in the bowl. I see. Kai is watching me closely. So is Death. She stands beside him. They wear a similar expression, like the look of pity that something pathetically fragile earns. I am not fragile, not like Father said. I will be everything he thought I couldn't be. Kid, are you all right? I intend to focus my gaze on Kai, but it falls to Mara instead. She now stands behind him, having begun to circle my enforcer. Her voice is steady. "Tell him, kid." No, not yet. It's not time. I find myself murmuring back. I need the right time. Kai takes a slow step towards me after glancing over his shoulder. "What? Kid, is everything okay?" The concern in his voice urges me to wrangle my muddled thoughts. That constant din inside my skull suddenly quiets. I blink, even smile. Yes, no need to worry. It seems I need some more sleep. Then I think about that final trial, and my worry returns. Just trust me. I have everything under control. My brother nods without hesitation. Of course, I trust you with my life. A slightly ironic choice of words, considering tomorrow's events. I fail to swallow my cough, so I follow it with a bright smile. I've never doubted that about you. Mara trails me to the door. My thoughts begin to diffuse, and still, I know one thing. You and me, brother. You and me. I step out into the hall with death on my heels. If she bothered displaying any emotion, I imagine it would be concern, just like everyone else who lays eyes on me. For that reason, her stoicism is a relief. "I didn't have the chance to teach you how to die," she says simply as we stride through the shadowy hallway. "We were interrupted." Right. It has grown rather difficult to focus. You didn't. Mara stops abruptly, so I do the same. "Perhaps when you are better prepared," she ventures, "you will be able to tell your brother." Unlikely. Okay, I appease. Show me how to die. A flicker of some unreadable emotion softens her features. "I will." She extends a hand. It is small, her palm uncalloused. Death is terrifyingly unassuming. A bit apprehensively, I place my much larger hand in hers. "This might feel a bit uncomfortable," she says absent-mindedly, "like your stomach dropping." What? Before I can even protest, it's happening, precisely as she said. The ground is sinking beneath my feet, and my stomach is plunging with it. I feel tugged in two directions, maybe two dimensions, before my feet collide with solid ground. Cool air caresses my cheeks. Darkness greets my gaze. What? I swallow, feeling slightly sick. Well, more so than usual. What the hell was that? "I didn't think you would want to walk all the way to loot." Mara strides casually into the darkness my eyes now slowly adjust to. I'm suddenly standing on the edge of a run-down street in the slums, blinking in disbelief. How did we get here? Death turns in the center of this quiet street. "We stepped between different points on this plane." She says this like one might when commenting on the weather. "I focused the little power I possess in this realm and brought you with me." I look up at the night sky where a ceiling resided mere moments before. Then my gaze is back on the embodiment of death, standing so comfortably in a puddle of moonlight. You mentioned your power before. In the gardens. I step before her. Strangely, I feel my best when we're alone. What are you capable of, Mara? The corners of her lips twitch, surprising me. Everything. I raise my brows at her. Everything? Nothing I can do is unfamiliar to you. She says this like I'm supposed to understand. So where did all your power come from? I ask, attempting a different question. The moors. Mara taps her foot against the ground softly. It supplies me with anything I need. So when I am parted from it, my power is limited. But I start slowly. Where did the Moors obtain such strength? Death stares at me, subtly intrigued. I think she finds my lack of knowledge comical. The Moors is all that was, and all that will soon come to pass, she finally says. Its power is not devised or created. It is infinite. I nod, despite my continued lack of understanding. She turns towards a slatted shack, then, pointing to the twining trees beside it, their gnarled branches curl around one another, chalky in color and brittle in the soft breeze. It's impossible to tell where one trunk begins and the other ends. This is where destiny met fate, and death was born. Mara's voice grows soft. Where eternity began. Again, I'm not entirely sure I understand. But I get the sense that her riddle wasn't meant wholly for me. Those look like the trees in the moors, I say, rather than asking another question she likely won't answer. Yes. Her gaze grows distant. They do. A dozen dull taps of her foot pass before she finally looks at me and utters a single word. Gently. Gently? I echo. That is how to die. I can't help but cough out a laugh. I thought it was the opposite. Am I not supposed to fight until the very end? Most do, she answers evenly. But a struggling soul is quite pointless. When one's fate is sealed, hope is only a hindrance. So you truly hope for nothing? I find myself asking. Hope is for the living. The strain in her voice saddens me. My connection with Mara may only be due to the imminent demise she will soon drag me to, but it feels real nonetheless. Like a companion I've searched my whole life for, only to find her in death. Then I shrug, shake my head. I will be your heartbeat. A wave of emotion crashes against Mara's solid mask. What? As of right now, I am still living, I remind her. So, hope vicariously through me. If it's a heartbeat hope needs, then I will be that for you. She blinks a pair of wide, brown eyes at me. No one has ever... Her throat bobs. Thank you. I smile sadly. Even death deserves to hope. You don't have to go gently, Mara practically blurts. I've never seen someone so softly flustered. Die how you wish. I will catch you. however you fall from your lifeline. I ponder this. Is it easier for you if I do not struggle? Infinitely. Then it is decided. My gaze lifts to the stars above. I will go gently for you. When my eyes finally fall back on death, I almost don't believe what I'm seeing. She is smiling.
This short interlude is your time to breathe, to reflect, and to simply rest. Thank you for sharing this journey with us.
Chapter 23. Kit. Dull petals drift down like ashes on the wind. Like an omen I should heed. Instead, I let the drizzle of decay nestle into my hair and caress my face. A few stubborn blossoms still cling to the twining branches above despite the wind's incessant tugging. Once the flowers were vibrant, thrumming with life before the bitter chill set in, before the death of everything I knew. Perhaps there is an odd parallel there, one I don't care to explore at the moment. I quicken my pace along the path when that familiar panic begins its swell in my chest. This, mercifully, has the throng of smothering Imperials falling behind. I don't need them to witness their king's weakness. My ears ring as I stagger into the bowl's menacing shadow, muffling the excitement that echoes within. A shuddering cough rattles my chest and aching body. That unnatural thing writhes within me, coiling around the core of my dual ability until the very essence of me is choking. I'm suddenly gasping for air, bracing a hand against one of the arena's tunneled entrances. It feels as though my soul is being cleaved in half. I look up to find death, staring back. Sympathetic, she reaches for me. Your Majesty! The Imperial's shout severs my connection to the plague searing my veins. I shake my head, trying to free myself of the pained trance. I'm fine. My weak reassurance is ground out between gritted teeth. I cough again, and this time, it tastes of blood. Straightening, I stride into the stone tunnel with the little composure I've mustered. Imperials nip at my heels, pricking my back with a dozen leery gazes. They think I'm weak, just as I have been my entire life. The sinister thought slithers across my mind without warning. My very power feels as though it's on edge, every emotion heightened and violently tipping towards agitation. Should recover before addressing the people, Your Majesty. My gaze snaps to the masked figure. An Imperial is questioning my well-being like a pestering healer, as if I were the gentle prince before and not the great king now. He has no idea of the power that runs through my veins. My head pounds. Weak. 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 Something snaps within me. Insinuate I am anything but a god again, and you will pray fervently for my forgiveness. The Imperial's jaw slackens, his mouth working until a jumbled, "Of course, Your Majesty," tumbles out. I blink back the blinding rage, feeling unsteady on my feet. What the hell just happened? The fleeting hysteria is a hazy memory I fight to grasp hold of. My mind reels until it's suddenly pondering what I'm meant to be panicking over. I sway there for a moment. Head clear as I mentally shrug aside whatever it was that had my heart racing. Why are we standing here? The Imperials blink at my exasperation. I have a final trial to commence. And with that, I head into the belly of the bowl. My body hums with power as all of Ilia welcomes their king. I sweep my gaze over the roaring crowd, feeling stronger than I ever have before. I raise a hand in greeting as I stride over to my glass box, each step amplified 1,000-fold by the stomping feet surrounding me. After slipping into the cozy enclosure, I ease gently into the cushioned seat within. My gaze flicks back to the rowdy arena as my fingers drum a steady beat against the plush arm of my chair. The pit stretches below me, a sea of sand speckled by 4 bodies. Their white robes are stark against the stone wall, though only 3 bear the ability that earns them a sight's garb. This is the beginning of the end. I shift uncomfortably in my seat. No turning back now. The pounding in my head returns when Peyton steps into the arena. Incidentally, my heart ceases its necessary pounding when she turns to look at me. Callum has slipped into the box, his gaze heavy on the back of my neck as I stand abruptly, instinctually, at Peyton's presence. Perhaps because I know this may be the last time I'm in it. Her eyes plead to find something in mine, faith, forgiveness, friendship, something. I open my mouth, futilely fumbling for a suitable farewell. Perhaps a thank you for her ignorant part in my legacy. Instead, guilt skewers me in the gut, hard enough to have me bracing a hand against the glass. I don't feel for her, not in the way I used to. Not in the way Kai still does. No, Peyton Gray is now nothing more than a pawn in a game she doesn't know exists. But I'm not sure it's possible to loathe something so resiliently alive. I straighten before lowering slowly into my seat. Still, I have to try. Callum clears his throat behind me. This reminds me to concentrate on guarding my thoughts from the mind reader a bit too intently. I hardly hear him when he finally asks, "How are you feeling, Kit?" I keep my gaze fixed on the arena beyond. Strong. Of course you are. No, don't pretend you're not surprised, I murmur back. The healers expect me to drop dead any moment, and the scholars can't wait to gloat when I do. I glance over my shoulder at him. But I'm better than ever, so don't hold your breath waiting for me to take my last. Of course, Your Majesty. Callum tips his head towards an Imperial beyond the glass. I only ask because he seems to think you may be losing your mind. What? I nearly choke on my incredulous laugh. Callum pulls his arms behind him. Yes. Apparently there was an incident outside the bowl. I shake my head at the blunt lie this Imperial has spun to entertain himself. Our walk to the arena was uneventful at best. After emerging from the tunnel of trees, Mentally, I frown, like my mind is frustrated by the mere suspicion of a misplaced memory. I clear my throat. We made it to the bowl just fine. With that, I turn away to conclude our clipped conversation. I then watch a swarm of Imperials shove Payton towards the pit before I step out onto the pathway encircling it. Numbly, I stand behind the railing with an amplifier at my side, her hand pressed gently to my shoulder. Welcome, aliens, to Payton Gray's final trial. My words are hollow as they echo across the arena. Here, we will test her brutality. I don't remember much of what else I declare. Only the draining of color from Payton's face. Even that is a blur behind the mask of stoicism I've secured over my features. Kai isn't the only Azure forced to play a part. Kai. He is in the pit below, striding slowly towards Payton. She can't bring herself to turn around and meet the fate I have predestined. But this is not my brother. No, I am doing this for my brother. Makoto Kitan has the chance to rid us of her, despite that admirable resilience. And he very much wanted his opportunity for revenge when I met him in that shadowed alley. So that is what I will use to keep Kai at my side. And yet my gaze drops when the first scream rips from Payton's throat. My shrouded wielder holds none of that coveted power back, just as he promised in the shadowed alley where we became unlikely allies. The ordinary is forced to face the ultimate elite. I'm doing this for Kai. For us. Sand flies up around them, blurring every moment. I squint through the cloud of haze to see Payton's bloody form hovering at the end of a blade. My breath catches, and I stand, nearly pressing my face against the glass, shifting my eyes to the looming screen above. I trace the sad acceptance settling on Payton's face. Her whispered words are meant for the man she loves, but he is not who hears them. I am not a monster. I am not a monster. I am not a monster. I hold my breath, waiting for that sword to plunge through my betrothed's chest. Instead, I watch something happen. Something shift. I witness the exact moment Kai, Mak, damns himself by caring for Payton Gray. He isn't the first man to make such a grave mistake. The wielder severs his connection to the Tell's ability, and when Payton drops to her knees, he bows back. I shake my head, swallowing a hysterical laugh. It seems in every instance, in every body, Kai Azure chooses Payton Gray. So when that dagger slides into his chest, the same one that pierced my father's throat, I force myself to watch. This is what loving Payton Gray will earn you. Ruin. And I vow to save my brother from the fate of her. Death is waiting for me in my study. I brought his soul to the moors, she says. I take a seat in my father's worn leather chair. He chose her. It wasn't even Kai. And he chose her. You look worse, is all she says in response. Her bluntness is admirable, if not slightly annoying. I lift my gaze to where she stands beside the fireplace. I've never felt better.